The UK economy has suffered since Brexit, according to Goldman Sachs, and a decline in international trade and weak business investment are just some of the reasons. The United Kingdom's decision to leave the European Union has shrunk the British economy by reducing growth and boosting inflation, according to economists at Goldman Sachs Group Incorporated, who have tracked the country's performance since the 2016 referendum compared with similar nations. The UK's real GDP fell by about 5%. That's what Sven Jaristen and his colleagues said in a research report published on Friday. Lower international trade, weak business investment, and a decline in immigration from Britain's largest trading partner have contributed, as the researchers said. The evidence suggests significant long-term production costs of Brexit, they write. The UK has performed significantly worse than other advanced economies since the 2016 EU referendum. And Goldman's conclusion is broadly consistent with other estimates of the impact of Brexit. The UK's official fiscal watchdog, the Office for Budget Responsibility, said last year that Britain's exit from the EU was likely to reduce economic output by 4%. The Bank of England's Jonathan Haskell said a year ago that Brexit had cost every British household an average of £1,000. And British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has struggled to deliver on his promise to strengthen the economy since taking office at the end of 2022. Economists are divided over whether this week's data would have shown the technical recession, but now we know they are in it. And still, Goldman said not all of the UK's economic woes are due to Brexit, citing the pandemic and the energy crisis following Russia's invasion of Ukraine as weighing heavily on growth. And some economists, particularly those more supportive of the decision to leave the EU, have argued against using the so-called doppelganger approach to analyzing the impact of Brexit. Like the British government, they point out that the UK's real GDP has outperformed that of Germany and Italy since the referendum. The United Kingdom's decision to leave the European Union, commonly known as Brexit, was a momentous event with far-reaching consequences. And there was a lot of history surrounding that with motivations, but it still has an impact on the UK, the EU, and the wider world. And Brexit did not emerge from a vacuum. Underlying tensions and Euroscepticism had simmered within the UK for decades. Concerns regarding immigration, sovereignty, and the perceived overreach of Brussels bureaucracy fueled a growing disconnect between a segment of the British population and the EU project. The economic arguments for and against EU membership were fiercely contested. Proponents of leaving highlighted the potential for the UK to strike its own trade deals and control its borders, and they argued that the EU imposed unnecessary regulations and stifled economic growth. And conversely, opponents emphasized the benefits of the free trade within the single market, but also access to skilled labor and collaboration on issues like security and climate change. In 2016, the referendum was held, putting the question of EU membership directly to the British people. And the outcome was a narrow victory for the Leave campaign, with about 52% of voters opting to depart. And this result exposed a deep societal divide, with significant variations in voting patterns across the different regions, but also age groups and socioeconomic demographics. The aftermath of the referendum was marked by political turmoil and uncertainty. Prime Minister David Cameron resigned, triggering a leadership contest within the Conservative Party. Theresa May emerged as the new leader and embarked on the challenging task of negotiating the terms of the UK's withdrawal. The negotiations between the UK and the EU proved to be complex and protracted, and key sticking points included the financial settlement, the rights of EU citizens living in the UK, and the status of the border between Northern Ireland and the rest of the Irish island. In 2019, after months of intense negotiations, a withdrawal agreement was finally reached. The agreement outlined the terms of the UK's departure, including a transition period and a financial settlement. However, the agreement faced significant opposition within the UK Parliament, leading to Theresa May's resignation and the appointment of Boris Johnson as Prime Minister. Johnson campaigned on a promise to get Brexit done and secure a new deal with the EU. He renegotiated the withdrawal agreement, securing changes to the Northern Ireland Protocol, which was a contentious aspect that aimed to prevent a hard border on the island of Ireland. In January 2020, the UK officially left the EU, marking the culmination of a long and divisive process. However, the journey was far from over. The transition period ended in December 2020, ushering in a new era of the UK-EU relationship. The full impact of Brexit is still unfolding, and its long-term consequences remain uncertain, but they're not very nice. The UK has negotiated new trade deals with a few countries, but these are unlikely to fully replicate the benefits of single market membership. Economically, the UK has experienced disruptions to trade, supply chains, and investment. The COVID-19 pandemic further compounded these challenges, making it difficult to isolate the specific effects of Brexit, but we could compare with the other countries. And politically, Brexit has reshaped the UK landscape. The issue continues to divide society and has a significant impact on the country's relationship with its European neighbours. And the long-term implications for the UK's role in the world order are also being debated. Brexit has resonated beyond the UK and the EU. It has fueled populist movements and Euroscepticism across the continent, raising concerns about the future of European integration. And the UK's decision to leave has also sparked debate about globalization, national identity, and the role of nation-states in the 21st century. Brexit is indeed a complex and multifaceted event with far-reaching consequences. It has exposed deep societal divisions within the UK and challenged the foundations of European integration, but now, with the negative consequences, strengthens them. And while the full impact of Brexit is still unfolding, it's clear that it has left an indelible mark on the UK, the EU, and the wider world. The ramifications of Brexit on the UK economy remain a topic of heated debates, with estimates of its influence oscillating depending on the employed methodology and time frame, of course. However, a prevailing consensus acknowledges that Brexit has undoubtedly impacted the UK economy negatively, although the precise extent of this impact continues to be a subject of ongoing discussion. Research from various institutions provides differing estimations of the impact on GDP. The Centre for European Reform suggests a 2.5% reduction in the UK economy compared to a hypothetical scenario of remaining within the EU. And the National Institute of Economic and Social Research paints a bleaker picture, estimating a 2 to 3% decline in GDP 3 years after the transition period, potentially reaching a staggering 5 to 6% by 2035. And studies reveal a concerning 25% decrease in UK imports from the EU compared to the imports from other parts of the world. And additionally, evidence suggests a decline in UK services exports to the EU, further highlighting the potential disruption caused by Brexit on trade patterns. Brexit's impact extends beyond economic growth, as I said, affecting public finances as well. Estimates suggest a yearly decline of £26 billion, translating to a weekly loss of £500 million. And this significant financial strain poses challenges for the UK government. While conclusive evidence remains elusive, some studies suggest that Brexit has negatively impacted investment within the UK as well. And this potential decline in investment activity could further hinder economic growth, but also development. It is crucial to recognize that these are merely estimations and the actual impact of Brexit may deviate significantly. Additionally, the process of Brexit continues to unfold, making it challenging to definitely assess its long-term effects. And furthermore, other external factors such as the COVID-19 pandemic have, as I said, significantly also impacted the UK economy, complicating the isolation and the precise measurements of Brexit-specific influence, but only the biggest fools denied that there were negative consequences. And while the full picture of Brexit impacts on the UK economy remains under development, substantial evidence points towards a negative influence. And estimates suggest a reduction in GDP, disruptions in trade, strain on public finances, and potential decline in investment activity. And as the situation continues to evolve, further research and analysis are necessary to fully understand the long-term ramifications of this complex decision, but I'm quite sure there will be a lot of studies. And if you want to know more, the next one is right here in the end screen. I'll see you there. I'll be back.